I just got back from Gamescom, checked out many awesome games, but of course a lot of news happened as well during the biggest gaming convention. So I want to give you the roundup, everything you need to know, also look at new rumors, surprise releases and way more. So thanks for joining these big Sunday gaming news roundup videos we do every week. And let's go. But first, a very nice surprise. Ubisoft namely announced this Saturday that Assassin's Creed Mirage is getting a DLC later this year with a new story chapter and missions set in a 9th century Alula. It will also feature gameplay improvements for the base game and the new location, and best of all, this will all be free. We also know that the Mirage voice actor for Basim will be returning, and there's a high chance that this actually takes place before the game's ending, as we see our bird Enkidu in the image. And Basim is following a mysterious figure who is very likely his father. In Valhalla we learned that he was an architect of the Great Mosque of Samarra, but another man took credit for this creation. It was also interesting that Mirage never really touched on this, but that might change with this DLC. Ubisoft Canada also shared a new outfit for Basim. Like again, this is very likely taking place before he becomes a master assassin, so it will be similar to the Valhalla DLCs that you could start after finishing one story arc in England. So why would Ubisoft out of nowhere do a DLC for Mirage? Well, this very likely has to do with the deal they made with Saudi Arabia, a rumor I discussed earlier this year here in the Sunday video. Alula is namely an ancient city found in the Arabian Peninsula, which is now called Saudi Arabia. So this is very likely for them a way to get more people familiar with the history of that location. Still wild that it's free. I think this has the potential to be the biggest free DLC we ever had in an Assassin's Creed game. Of course, your theory is more than welcome in the comments down below, and when we learn more, I will of course be the first to tell you here. The biggest reveal at Gamescom was totally for a brand new Black Myth game called John Kui. So yes, based on a completely new character described as a large man and a vanquisher of ghosts and evil beings. In the trailer we see him ride a huge tiger, so it would be cool if there are mounts in this game. And we of course already had some like giant fights in Wukong, so maybe this game will feature more of those, but it will be a while before we see any gameplay. Like we know that will be another single player action RPG, but that is about it, because also the developers note that they only have a little more than an empty folder right now, but because they want to communicate something about their current projects on August 20th from now on, which of course when Wukong last year released, they already wanted to share this trailer. So yeah, very interesting. We'll of course keep you posted here, but I think maybe the bigger news is that they were first working on a Wukong DLC, but that they had way more passion for something new, new heroes, new gameplay, new visuals. So they decided to put the DLC aside to work on this next game instead. So they say they will still do Wukong DLC despite this, but I don't think so. I think we will never get an expansion, because it would be weird to drop that in say 2029, because I expect John Kui to launch in 2028 at the earliest. Look, I'm totally fine with that. I totally think it's good for your health to do what you actually want to do, and they now got all the money and time in the world. It will only be better for the quality, but I'm still a bit sad. They did say we would get Wukong DLC, but yeah, I again don't think it will happen, and now it will be a long time before we play something new from these Wukong makers. Another big reveal was Lego Batman: The Legacy of the Dark Knight, the next title from TT Games, who of course most recently did Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. So in this game we follow a young Bruce Wayne who trains with the League of Shadows and then slowly builds a family of allies and fights with the most famous Batman villains, but it's especially the gameplay that jumps out, as it seems to be very similar to the combo based melee gameplay from the Arkham games, and it also seems to have an open world Gotham that we can explore. Of course, we have to wait and see how it all shakes out, but early impressions are positive. It's coming in 2026. In that year, we also get Lords of the Fallen 2 that was revealed, another Dark Fantasy Souls-like that takes place 100 years after the previous Lords of the Fallen from 2023. And it seems to be a pretty safe sequel, basically building on the 2.0 version they did for the original that enhanced the combat. They are still doing the two realms, but now with new abilities for the player. So just a more fleshed out first game without any crazy twist. Let me know if you're interested in this in the comments down below. My favorite announcement though during Gamescom was the fact that the Legends mode will be back for Ghost of Yotei. I really loved this 2-player, 4-player co-op mode in Tsushima. So having it back now, but now the 4 classes can have their own unique weapons and all the other like combat depth that Yotei will include. It has me very excited. There were also more Ghost of Yotei details, by the way. Dennis actually did a big breakdown video that I will leave a link to in the video description for if you haven't checked it out yet. So overall, Gamescom had a ton of trailers for games we already knew about, and that also did not show a lot of new stuff, but we did finally get a release date for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, October 21st. It's going to be quite different though from the first game, but the focus of the news has been on the fact that the game locks 2 of the 6 classes behind a $30 day one DLC that you get as part of the premium edition. So not great at all. We also learned that the new Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 DLC is coming on September 9th, focused on the blacksmith aspect. There is a Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy XIV crossover again. For Wilds, you get new content in September, and in October, new content for Final Fantasy XIV. And Stalker 2 got a release date for PlayStation 5, November 20th. Again, I will talk about the things that I saw during Gamescom very soon as well, so stay tuned. Now let's go over some other news. Of course, a like on this video would really help me out, and subscribe, because we post one of these big gaming news roundup videos every Sunday. Okay, time for quick shots, news stories I will go over quickly, starting with some sad industry news in a week that should otherwise celebrate gaming. But I already spoke about the report from Jason Schreier regarding the troubled development of the next Bioshock. Well, this week they laid off 1/3 of Cloud Chamber, the studio working on the game, which around 80 people. And they also delayed the game from the planned release of late 2026 or early 2027 to an even later date. So the gameplay seems to be great, but it's mostly the narrative that needs some work, according to Jason's sources. A switch from Unreal Engine 4 to 5 also seemingly cost a lot of extra years of development. But they seem determined to release it, and even brought on Rod Ferguson, the previous boss of Diablo, who's known as the closer in industry circles, as he's great at coming into struggling projects and helping them cross the finish line. He actually did the same for Bioshock Infinite more than 10 years ago, so I think we're now looking at a 2028 game or something. I think we can at least say for a fact that Judas from the original Bioshock maker, Ken Levine, is launching before this. Although that has also been strangely absent after the initial gameplay reveal last year. I will keep you posted here. Let's hope both games turn out to be great. So earlier this year, Sony already raised the prices for their hardware in Europe, the UK, Australia and New Zealand, but now they also increased the prices for the US. Polygon has the rundown. It's basically a $50 increase across the board for all systems. It's still wild that buying a console at launch, especially if you factor in inflation, is way cheaper than buying it later on in the generation. But yeah, the reason are the tariffs that are impacting their margins. So this will likely be the price of the PlayStation 5 when GTA 6 launches next year. We got a surprise release this week. The Rogue Prince of Persia from the Dead Cell makers is out now on consoles next to PC. The Switch version is coming later. Yes, another 2D side-scrolling Prince of Persia game, but this one is a roguelite. So dying is part of the loop, and then every time you of course get stronger and explore more of the world. I still don't get the timing though, so close after the Lost Crown, but this one is also getting high scores with an 83 on Metacritic right now. It's also on Game Pass and in the PlayStation Plus extra catalog, so you can try it there if you are on those tiers. Let me know if you're going to, or if you played it already in the comments down below. I'm curious. But we also learned this week that the long-awaited Hollow Knight Silksong is coming out on September 4th. Yes, in less than 2 weeks. 7 years ago this project started as a DLC, but now it's of course a full-blown sequel. I heard from multiple people who played the 10-minute Gamescom demo that it was amazing. I sadly did not have time to check it out, but I believe it. Don't expect reviews though before launch, as they don't plan to share any review codes. But yeah, even without that, we have to believe that this is another Game of the Year contender, right? That suddenly enters the ring. Let me know if you'll be playing Silksong on any platform, because yes, it launches for everything, in the comments down below. Okay, rumor roundup time, where we look at the biggest leaks and rumors of the week, and I give stars, with 3 being I believe it and 1 being let's take this with a huge grain of salt. So actually a lot of leaks this week were for things that then were announced at Gamescom, but we did have one for something that will be happening after Gamescom, namely the next live show that is very likely going to be a state of play that will be happening in September, according to Jeff Grubb. Not surprising, as we actually had one of these every year, usually the week of Tokyo Game Show, so this year that would be September 23rd. This gives them time to promote titles that will then be shown or playable at the Japanese convention, but this also lets Sony push Ghost of Yotei one more time on a big stage before the October 2nd release. We also know that the spiritual successor to Returnal, Saros, is getting gameplay this year, so this state of play could be the perfect moment. And every state of play, Sony now ends with a PlayStation Studios reveal. We got the Marvel fighting game during the June state of play. The February state of play had the before mentioned Saros. Last year, the September state of play had Ghost of Yotei. The one before that, Astrobot. It's a very high chance that they will showcase a big 2026 title here. Maybe finally gameplay for Wolverine and then confirmation that it's actually coming in 2026. Or if Intergalactic is indeed a 2026 title, we might get gameplay for that here. I am not expecting other reveals, but I would love to be wrong. But yeah, 3 stars for this rumor. Jeff Grubb always has these right. And yeah, I'm only expecting a state of play, no showcase, probably until the PlayStation 6, which might already be revealed and released in 2027. So yeah, let me know what you hope to see during this September state of play in the comments down below. If you follow the channel and the React channel for a while, then you might know that I've often been talking about the summer of death in terms of game releases, because I just don't think that all of these can survive and do well. So this coming week is the kickoff of the summer of death, and we start with Gears of War Reloaded. The first Gears of War with the co-op campaign and multiplayer coming to PlayStation 5 for the first time, and the upgrades are of course also available on PC and Xbox. I only played small snippets as I never had an Xbox until the Xbox One, so I actually want to give this a shot. Another remaster remake this week is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, a new version of the third Metal Gear Solid game. It sits at an 86 on Metacritic at the time of this recording, but Digital Foundry reports that in particular the PlayStation versions, including the Pro, have some big frame rate issues, as you see right here, sometimes going as low as the mid 40s. So hopefully there's still a day one patch planned for this game. I hope so, because I also want to try this. I've tried Metal Gear Solid 3 many times, but I just don't like the force setting at the start. Hopefully it will be different this time. Lost Soul aside, the big game from Sony's China Hero project is also launching this week, and I think it's awfully quiet for seemingly a pretty big exclusive for them. I hope it turns out well, because the trailers always looked interesting. I think a demo would really help with this game. Then there's also Destiny Rising, the big AAA mobile game from NetEase that is launching this coming week, and the side-scroller Shinobi Art of Vengeance that always looked pretty cool. Still got a ton of fun Gamescom coverage coming your way this coming week. We'll be streaming again on Monday on the React channel. A link to that countdown timer in the video description. Hope you can join, and subscribe of course to the main channel to not miss anything. A like would be awesome. And again, you can check out that Ghost of Yotei video by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.